Atomic blasting was blocked. The great Demon King's skill that had dominated Sig was finally blocked by the Grim Reaper. Lin Feng, Lin Feng, Lin Feng, Lin Feng, Lin Feng. The people of Aslan inside and outside the arena lost their senses. Never had there been a victory which made them as excited as this. The people of Aslan, who had self-control and were conscious of their image, were now cheering crazily, pointing middle fingers towards the cameras. There was no victory that they desired as much as this. Kashawan heaved a sigh of relief. It was finally over. Atomic blasting was his last resort. The battle analysis before the match determined that if the move was blocked, they would win the match. Wei Yan could feel her cousin's hand growing cold. Aina wanted to prevent this match as she knew that Wang Zheng would never admit defeat, and Lin Feng intended to kill. To the Aslan Empire, it would be best for Wang Zheng to disappear from this world. Bang! Wang Zheng flew up, but Lin Feng kicked towards him. When Wang Zheng wanted to dodge it, he realized that he could no longer move. The primordial regression technique's energy was completely distorted, and he flew out. Wang Zheng knew that he could admit defeat at this moment, and if he did not, Lin Feng would continue attacking. It was not cruel, as this time, Sig used the military style of fighting, not caring about life and death. Wang Zheng could choose to give up, and if he did not, he would have to accept death as an outcome. Boom, 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 as Wang Zheng flew, Lin Feng floated in mid-air. It cost less to defend. Moreover, as an A-rank fighter, Lin Feng was stronger in various aspects. Energy gathered in Lin Feng's hand. Perhaps he would never meet an opponent like this ever again. Out of respect for Wang Zheng, he chose to use his greatest strength to finish this fight. A huge, golden sword gathered in Lin Feng's hand. His current condition was where A-rank spiritual power shined. Spatial energy gathered in Lin Feng's hand as well. With a spectacular attack as a conclusion. This would form Lin Feng's legend, and at the same time push up the status of the Aslan Empire. It was undeniable that after this match, Aslan would reach its highest peak since Kashawan took over. The fame belonged to Aslan, and in the next 10 years, who could rival them? Everyone stared at Wang Zheng as he lay on the ground and could no longer stand. This time, he had reached the end. Even atomic blasting was blocked, and this made Wang Zheng helpless. He did not want to die, and yet he did not fear death. But Lin Feng was stronger than him by just a bit. There were a lot of things he wanted to do, to visit the school with Zhang Shan, to tour Aslan together with Aina. The expressions of Achilles and the rest were as bad as they could get. For the past battles, they believed that Wang Zheng could turn the situation around, but this time, they felt a sense of despair. Lin Feng should not have appeared here. How could the strongest Earth rank participate in SIG held for schools? This. Surrender. Admit defeat? Wang Zheng would never. Even Achilles and Lai Xin would not do so. Be it reckless or foolish, they clearly understood, just like Aragorn, who did not have to die. But he wanted to try, as it was a path of no return for warriors. This was a moment that belonged to Aslan. The camera showed Aslan's audience. They definitely showed Kashawan and Aina. The screen showed Aina, who was filled with tears. Wang Zheng saw this scene. Don't cry. The moment he met Aina, it was the greatest joy in his life. He was merely a poor boy who had nothing. He was unwilling to let it be, he promised. The energy from the primordial regression technique was going out of control, and not only that, Wang Zheng had cultivated 2 different versions of the primordial regression technique. Under normal circumstances, the original energy would have vanished, but when the body loses control, the original energy, which was suppressed, would emerge. The 2 different energies went on a rampage in his body, and felt like it was splitting him apart. From the outside, Lin Feng could feel energy leaking out, and it was from Wang Zheng. Wang Zheng's body, how could it be? Why was there such terrifying energy? Neither of the energies was something Lin Feng wanted to face. It was clear that it was a sign of Wang Zheng going berserk. He could not wait any longer. The giant golden sword struck straight down. Bang, boom, 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 the violent attack crazily attacked the ground and smashed it. Aina grit her teeth. She had to stay strong, as she knew that Wang Zheng would not want to see her crying. Yan Xiaoshu was currently running towards the stage but was held back by Jasper and Gabra. He could not go there, he would die. This time, no one could help him. This was like a gamble. The luck would not continue to be this good. This time, they had lost everything, but Jasper and Gabra did not regret it. To live in this world, and to have such an experience, there were no regrets. Regardless, Yan Xiaoshu was their big brother. In the air, Lin Feng was gasping for air. This was the first time he felt so exhausted and excited at the same time. This was an opponent that he would have difficulty against. However, it had ended, and the victory belonged to the Aslan Empire. What awaited him was not cheers, but expressions of shock. Wang Zheng managed to stand up. He could feel the energy inside him. The primordial regression technique from bonehead and charcoal fused together to form a 256 degrees primordial regression technique. The energy from minor 5 elements and major 5 elements connected. No aura could be felt from Wang Zheng, but Lin Feng could feel his limbs turning cold, this feeling. He had seen it before. Wang Zheng looked at Lin Feng, who was in the air, and pointed with a finger from his right hand. He finally realized what was lacking in atomic blasting. As a 128 degrees technique was unable to handle an attack of this level, it was no wonder he had fractures every single time. Bang, 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 rumble, rumble, rumble. A ray of golden light shot past Lin Feng. Bang! The energy shield wall behind Lin Feng, which was said to be able to defend against all forms of attacks, shattered, and the golden ray shot through the skies. Lin Feng turned his head to look behind him, and looked back at Wang Zheng. He had not killed him, and he. Lin Feng sighed heavily and lowered his head. If he could turn back time, he would have taken the attack head-on. As a person from Aslan, he could be weak, but not shameless. I lost. In that moment, Lin Feng felt as if the whole world had collapsed. The Knights of the Light Arena remained silent. Even the whole Milky Way Alliance was silent. It easy to win, and to kill someone, but difficult for an opponent to admit defeat. Today and here, a warrior called Wang Zheng had won over the Aslan Empire. Wang Zheng slowly raised his hand and pointed to the skies. He had finally done it. This moment, and this figure, would be recorded in history. Wang Zheng, we will be graduating tomorrow. Yan Xiaoshu was biting on a blade of grass with a beer can in his hand. From tomorrow onwards, we will conquer the universe together. At that time, Wang Zheng had the same pose, with one finger pointing towards the skies. The whole world had their eyes on one person. The figure was fixed, and it would not be forgotten, no matter how many years would pass. After the silence, only cheers and applause remained throughout the arena. It was easy to go crazy after a victory. In this moment, every member of Aslan gave their applause to Wang Zheng. It has to be said that the character and tolerance of the people of Aslan was not something most countries could compare themselves with. However, today's stars were Wang Zheng and his Saruman snake battle team. Achilles, Lai Xin, Snowli, and the rest rushed up and threw Wang Zheng in the air. The two battle teams from the solar system rushed towards him as well. On everyone's faces was uncontrollable fervor and excitement. This was a dreamlike journey. Yan Xiaoshu roared towards the sky, waving his plump fists. Wang Zheng had finally done it. His brother had done it. Jasper and Gabra were excited like 3-year-old kids. They had never experienced such excitement before in their lives. Even the great Aslan had to admit defeat to them. Ai Xiaolu did not go up, but instead stayed next to Zhang Shan, and Zhang Shan, who was usually the noisiest and the most excited, was exceptionally calm. He finally did it. A satisfied smile was seen on Ai Xiaolu's face. To live meant to have something to chase after, but when she was young, she did not know what to pursue. When would she experience the joy from hard work and struggles? Today, she felt it. Your reaction is slightly off. Zhang Shan closed his eyes and did not say anything. Ai Xiaolu nudged Zhang Shan. If you feel like crying, just cry. No one will judge you for it. Zhang Shan could no longer bear it, but this guy had to take care of his image. He used his hand to block his face. He had no idea how he had survived these past few years and it seemed like all of his emotions had a vent for release. Looking at Zhang Shan, who was crying at times and smiling at others, Ai Xiaolu smiled until tears flowed down her face. That B** star did not lie to me. Haha, we are the champions. At some point, a group of people rushed down to carry Zhang Shan up the stage. Ai Xiaolu and Luo were pushed up as well. Everyone who was connected was pushed up the stage. Wang Zheng carried Zhang Shan on his shoulders, and everyone shouted towards the sky, "We are champions." The strongest generation in the history of SIG. After the elites from various countries fought for more than 2 months, a final victor emerged. Yes, the true greatest king, Saruman Snake. While the name of Great Demon King spread throughout the world in the various military schools, Wang Zheng's name was no longer unknown, and it would be remembered by countless people. At the same time, countless people would use him as a role model, and countless people would see him as their goal. This was the fate of the greatest king. This was a day for celebration. No matter who won, there would be celebration. Even though Aslan was defeated, this battle demonstrated the strength of the Aslan Empire. The taste of defeat was not a good taste, but Saruman Snake's supporters were the majority, as everyone other than the people from Aslan were on the side of Saruman Snake. Wang Zheng's charisma had won over too many fighters. Jondi Lilac had an array of emotions. Being able to participate in this SIG may be the greatest pride in my life. Although I lost to Wang Zheng, at least I have a reason now. Jondi Lilac's words made the whole arena laugh. But I am broad-minded, and hope that one day I will be able to fight alongside Wang Zheng. Once again, congratulations to Wang Zheng and the Saruman Snake battle team. They are deserving of the title of Greatest King. Following Jondi Lilac's words, everyone went into a frenzy once again. Countless flashing lights illuminated the whole world. On the distant Earth and on the streets of Beijing, people could be seen cheering crazily everywhere. Everyone was singing loudly, waving their arms. A victory parade formed naturally. This honor belonged to Wang Zheng and Saruman Snake, as well as Ares College, Beijing, and Earth. Xiao Fei turned off the live stream. A knowing smile appeared on her face. That kid had finally done it. Although this world had lost a great physicist, it had gained a great leader. He may have just started, but the future was just beginning, and he would definitely go far. Doctor, did something good happen? Xiao Fei smiled. My student just won SIG. SIG? Ah, wasn't it Aslan? Aslan lost. What are you saying? The Saruman Snake battle team won a sweeping victory against the Sword Shield Rose battle team with a score of 3-0. Did you think that a student of mine would be useless? Xiao Fei's aura was through the roof. Everyone knew that Dr. Xiao Fei's temper was rather violent, but someone whispered, "Don't you teach physics?" Everyone laughed. Even the outsiders could tell that this was a miraculous battle. On Titan Star, they went totally crazy with their celebrations. The moment Wang Zheng won, the whole planet was excited. The giants respected and saluted their Ada. Since the beginning, they believed that their Ada would emerge victorious. As a messenger of the Titan god, he would never lose. Wang Zheng's victory brought about not only a record, but it awakened the hope and strength in countless people. The greatest fear in humans was to lose hope and to have no future. The strength of humans came from the hope to create miracles and unleash strength beyond their imagination. The Wang Zheng now had gone beyond the image of an idol on earth. He had become their spiritual faith and a god in the hearts of countless military academy students. He did something only a god could do, and he was not a lonely god, he had brothers. If one day they could catch up to their seniors and become members of Wang Zheng's team, that would undoubtedly be the best thing to happen in their lives. Ares College would have a drastic change in both the scores and standards required to enter. In the past, people would have to check out the school before deciding, but now, it would be different. Even if this school was considered average in the Milky Way Alliance, it would attract countless outstanding students. The moment a trend started, it was unstoppable. The solar system was not a fool. They used the Federation's resources to help provide Ares College with better conditions and teaching resources. Xiao Fei clearly had a huge influence as well. At the same time, Ares College wanted to open branch schools on the Moon and Mars. This was unprecedented, and they gained the support of both the Moon and Mars. This was the first time the 3 planets were able to agree on something. Kushawin and the rest silently left the arena. This was the first defeat she had faced since she took over, and it was a complete loss. Facing countless challenges, Kushawin felt that she did not miss out on anything, but they were thoroughly defeated. She did not stop Aina from doing anything, as she did not need to do anything. Wang Zheng ended up being merciful. Otherwise, Lin Feng would not have been part of this world any longer. This favor made Kushawin feel pressured. Lin Feng played an important role in Aslan's future, and nothing could happen to him, but Kushawin was now in a mess. All along, she was logical. However, now she had no idea what to do and felt extremely tired. Wei Yan was elated, but it did not feel right for the little princess to be jumping around with joy, as Aslan had lost. Hence, the people of Aslan could only clap for Saruman Snake, mainly due to Wang Zheng's last attack, as it had the dominating aura of winning without killing. To give others leeway was to give some to yourself. Meanwhile, for Lin Feng, the stress was much greater, and perhaps death would have been a better ending, but as a loser who lived, he had to endure all of this. This night belonged to Saruman Snake. On Aina's face was a smile. She knew that Wang Zheng had tried not to make things difficult for her, and had done the best he could. She wanted to smile, and not hide it, as she was truly happy for Wang Zheng. Wei Yan, is my hair messy? Aina suddenly asked. Nope, sister is always the prettiest, Wei Yan replied. The little princess was excited and troubled. It seemed like the other side was more fun, and she wanted to go there. Just bear with it, just for a while, Aina suddenly said. It may be a pity, but we have to congratulate Wang Zheng and the Saruman Snake Battle team. They are definitely deserving of the title of champions. The committee has prepared a spectacular event, but before that, we will be having the awards presentation ceremony, said CG Ali. To be honest, as someone from Aslan, it was really a pity, but she was not sad, as Wang Zheng had demonstrated exceptional leadership and charisma. And while it was not easy to win, he had managed to do so. Even the people from Aslan found it hard to hate him, as they had watched Wang Zheng's journey, and how he had managed to reach the stage today. If there was no team from Aslan competing, they would all have supported Saruman Snake. The temporary stage had been set up. Wang Zheng, Achilles, Lai Xin, Mu Zhen, Snow Li, Zhang Shan, Ao Ziwei, Takumi, Ai Xiaolu. These were the members of Saruman Snake. From captain to members, the moment of glory belonged to everyone. The award presenters from Aslan were Aina Aslan and Lin Wei Yan Aslan, the two princesses. Her Highness Wei Yan presented to the rest of the members of the winning team. Zhang Shan bit into the gold medal. Yep, it was indeed made of pure gold. This would fetch a good price. However, looking at Mu Zhen's medal, he became happy. Was this the benefit of being big? Aslan was indeed meticulous, and had prepared a huge, gold medal for him, unless it was only gold-plated. Achilles and Lai Xin were truly proud. While the awards were being presented, Jondi Lilac and CG Ali were busy. The Milky Way alliance was won, and there were only victors when there were opponents. In this moment, they had to cheer for all SIG participants, as this was what made humans strong. Finally, it was the moment everyone had been waiting for, the moment which grabbed everyone's attention. Now, we will have Her Highness Aina present the trophy and gold medal to the undisputed king of SIG, Saruman Snake's leader, Wang Zheng. Let us give our applause to the great demon king. The standing ovation from the arena could be heard through the heavens. There was no question that Wang Zheng and his Saruman Snake had given everyone an unforgettable memory, fully demonstrating the strength of humans and the ability to create miracles. The trophy and the gold medal had been prepared. When Aina appeared on stage, countless camera lights flashed. Her Highness Aina was as beautiful as always, but Aina did not seem to have the intention of presenting the award, and was staring at Wang Zheng. Was Her Highness dissatisfied? The whole world watched the both of them, one being the greatest king, and the other Aslan's princess. Aina spoke into the microphone. 5 years ago. The whole arena quietened down. This was a live stream. What was Her Highness Aina trying to say at this point in time? Mitchell looked at Kushawin, and Kushawin shook her head and sighed. When I first visited Earth, I was playful and secretly sneaked out. I was penniless and in a bad situation, until I met him. He said that he liked me, no matter who I may be. Today, he said that he would win the championship for me. But I would like to say, it doesn't if he wins, I still like him, and I have never regretted a moment since the day I met him. The whole world was shocked. This was as shocking as Saruman's snake becoming champions. Wang Zheng. Aina slowly walked over, one step at a time. The whole world was watching her every step. She lightly kissed him. My forever champion. The whole world was in complete shock. This was explosive news. This the ideal romance in the eyes of countless youths. A youth from Earth and an Aslan princess, an encounter 5 years ago, and today, one of them became the greatest king. Countless people began filling in the gaps. All along, people were curious. Where did Wang Zheng get his strength from? Was it simply the desire to become the champion, or was it the desire to win? It felt that something was lacking. Today, everyone understood. It has to be said, to many people, it was shocking news. But to Wang Zheng and Aina, everything else was no longer important. As Pandora's box had been opened, it did not matter how they expressed their love. Life was short, and they would do what they desired. As for what would happen to the outside world, it no longer had anything to do with them. This was destined to be a sleepless night. From the end of the competition to the next day, the whole Aslan Empire was in a crazed state. The same applied for the other countries involved. The two news occupied the headlines of the whole world. The descent of the true Demon King, a sweeping victory of 3-0 by Saruman's snake. Unprecedented miraculous comeback by Wang Zheng against the Aslan Empire. Today Aslan was conquered, shocking romance, Princess Aina's other half. Wang Zheng and Aina, a new generation of warrior and princess? The publicity department of the Aslan Empire was considered to be relatively strong. They tried to downplay the news, stating it to be simply mutual attraction between two youths. The Aslan Empire was very liberal and free, and even the royalty had the freedom to love. They were both youths. This meant that it was normal to fall in love, and nothing more. There was no choice. In the previous IG, they had prevented any comments, and at that point, no one believed Wang Zheng's words. However, now it was different. A youth from Earth, for his princess, had overcome numerous obstacles to become the greatest king, which sounded like a myth. It really did. Regardless of how they tried to control it, Wang Zheng and Aina immediately became the hottest search topic, creating a new record for the past 10 years. It was completely normal, a greatest king and an Aslan princess, and at such a sensitive time. Most importantly, it happened 5 years ago. 5 years ago, Wang Zheng was probably an unknown student from the academy, and the Aslan princess was still a princess, the both of them. Just thinking about it would excite those who liked to gossip, and countless people were looking for any other possible clues. If anyone was in possession of such information, they would become the center of attention on any magazine and television station. Ares College, other than creating gods of battle, became the holy ground for love. Tabloid reporters and the entertainment channels felt that they were blessed and their talents exploded. However, there was not much they could do in Aslan. Even though it was revealed, Aslan demonstrated their power. They at least controlled what happened within Aslan. As for the outside, there was little they could do. In order to reduce the attention on news of the strongest romance in history, they strongly advertised SIG, with little effect. The reactions within the Aslan Empire were intense as well. The love life of Her Highness had been of everyone's concern. As for Wang Zheng, some supported him, while others did not, with everyone having various opinions. For this kind of situation, it was not the first time it happened in the Aslan Empire. Be it princes or princesses, if the conditions were not right, the royal family would strongly reject it. However, this time, it was special. Maybe because Wang Zheng's aura was too strong for them to handle, the royal family was unusually quiet. While they tried to dilute the effects of the news, they did not outright object to it. It was especially surprising for the media outside of Aslan. While Aslan was liberal and free, the royal family was completely different, being conservative and heartless. Her Highness would normally not be allowed to fall in love with someone not from Aslan. Even so, their status would have to match. Even though Wang Zheng's performance was exceptional, he was still far from fulfilling such conditions. As the winning team, Saruman's snake did not leave immediately, as they had to be interviewed by the media from various countries, but Wang Zheng was missing. Relatively willful. Handling the media was done by Achilles, Zhang Shan, and the rest. They did not mind. However, this made the excited reporters helpless. Be it Sig or the love story, they needed the main star of the show, but this star was missing. Wang Jung was not foolish. He was after the glory of a warrior, not compliments. He had underestimated Aina's guts, and he knew about Kashawan's power. At the same time Wang Jung was missing, Aina vanished as well, and no one knew exactly where she was. Even try to find out would be hard in Aslan's territory, as it was dangerous to invade the privacy of the royal family. While that kid and the princess are enjoying themselves, we are suffering here. How can he bully us like this? Zhang Shan complained. It must be that they didn't bring you, but it seems like you are enjoying yourself, Lai Shin snapped back. Haha, beauty Lai, you see, you are single, and so am I. Why don't we go talk about life? Even though Zhang Shan was on a wheelchair, he was still cheeky. If you want to remain on the wheelchair forever, I would gladly accompany you. Ah, what nice weather. Achilles smiled. Lai Shin, what are your plans? Lai Shin sighed. Just like you, there is nothing much I can do. My family is summoning me back. This is the best time to grasp an opportunity. Achilles slightly nodded his head. Yes, I did not expect us to split up so soon. Why, do you like me? If it's you, I will consider it. Lai Shin smiled charmingly, teasing him. Achilles smiled as well. I know you too well, there's not many feelings. Quickly finish up your business, Wang Jung is still waiting for us, Ai Xiaolu whispered. This was definitely a grand party. Although it did not feel good, this was the best ending. While she did not feel like things would end well for the both of them, at this age, they should not be thinking about things too far away. At this stage, this was the best, as both of them were happy. Oracle Star. Before the wristbands were removed, Meng Tian and the rest did not feel that the holy city was a city. There were no signs of the living, and it felt as if there were enemies everywhere. The desolate, antique stone brick buildings, with no flying cars from the interstellar age, and the endless stream of humans did not exist. It felt more like a refugee camp. The truth was that it was like a concentration camp, and the wristbands were like handcuffs. But in this moment, with their handcuffs removed, Meng Tian and rest stood in front of the holy city daydreaming. It has to be said that it was not just about it being life-threatening, but the shackles on their souls were removed as well. This was the reason Xie Yuxin had insisted on removing the shackles. The inside of the holy city merged modern technology, Atlantean runic technology, as well numerous extraterrestrial civilizations, which was more incredible than Roland Garros. Huo Dong rubbed his fingers. This was a habit he had since young. Whenever he was nervous, he could not control it. This was a bad habit, but this time, there was a reason for him to be this nervous. A faint sky wall covered the skies above the city. Sky wall. While the Milky Way Alliance's Roland Garros was still at the initial stages of development, it was now completely developed and shown in perfect form in front of everyone. With one wall, it hid the true holy city from the outside. Seems interesting. Minga's voice was faint. The layer of sky wall had some effect against Earth-rank spiritual power. If he did not focus, even at close range, he would not realize that behind the camouflage was a huge city. Yuan Jing rubbed his chin. Hee, brother Xie, this is such a good place. Why didn't you tell us earlier, haha. Meng Tian sighed slightly. Although he knew the Saints had the ability to go against the Milky Way Alliance, seeing the part of its strength was a completely different reality. When they entered the lower layers of the holy city, it was evening, and the number of people on the streets grew. There were a significant number of direct disciples from the saint. Over here, they were no different from normal people. They ate, drank, laughed, and cried. Children filled the streets, playing, and their mothers called them back home. From what it looked like, it was merely a difference in faith. Down in the lower levels of the holy city was like a harmonious scene, torn by time, with bloodlust. Like the shadows of the wings of the devil, shrouding the spirits of everyone. Through the cold hall, a young lady wearing a saint robe approached them. Welcome back. May I ask if you need help with anything? Xie Yuxin nodded. I want to submit a mission. In addition, please arrange for the exchange of items. This is the list. Understood, please wait over here. The saint maintained the standard smile and invited them to a separate resting area. After removing the wristbands, the team of 6 had received 2 separate missions in the span of a few days. While they were minor ones, they could feel that, be it strength or compatibility, they had improved since they first entered the thorn forest. Meng and Yuan Jing had begun to recognize Xie Yuxin, not only due to Meng Tian's trust in him, but Xie Yuxin's judgment towards missions. He had helped them improve. Huo Dong and Kong Siki were gradually getting used to it. They still disliked Xie Yuxin. Zhe Ping's death and the breakup of the team were scars that would never heal. However, injuries would heal eventually and the scars would not hurt forever. With their interactions, they also felt that despite his apparent callousness, Xie Yuxin was not really that heartless. The 2 minor missions after the removal of the trackers had the purpose of getting the team to reacquaint themselves again. But it was obvious that this was in consideration of them, who were somewhat of a burden to the team. The young girl from the Saint would return very soon. They had already finished auditing the missions that were handed over by Xie Yuxin. The pub streets were always overcrowded when night fell. There were always people waiting to enter for a drink or two, releasing pressure that brought them to the verge of collapse. Entering a pub called Fallen Wood after queuing up, a variety of noises and a heat wave hit and corroded their nerves. In such an atmosphere, one could not help but desire a drink or two. It was difficult to tell whether it was paralysis or desalination. Regardless, one began to feel better. No one cared when a few strangers walking into the crowded pub. They might be alive and merry today but might not show up again tomorrow. In the dim environment, stress seemed like a beast that had been released. Even Huo Dong and Kong Siki seemed to look more relaxed. A pretty waitress stood up. "Welcome to the Fallen Wood pub, here's the wine list." Her warm voice had a very comforting effect on people, and the people could not help but take a second look at her. Under the light makeup was a young and refined face. If it was elsewhere, this quality would definitely have the making of a star. Here, she was just a low-class waitress. A low-cut neckline indicated that she could perhaps provide services beyond the general level. Yuan Jing laughed. Ignoring the waitress' sexual seduction, he took the wine list and said, "Let's get hammered." Sweeping the wine list, Yuan Jing was a little taken aback. All the drinks in the list were high-class enjoyment. The red wine with the lowest cost was the 1950s Charles Manor. If it was sold elsewhere at a high-class restaurant, this would be considered a luxury that would draw envy from friends. But here, it was only listed as a low-class drink. "Is this real?" Taking another look at the price, he said, "1 hour? This is the real deal from Charles Manor?" The price was really dirt cheap. "This is a playground for the strongest. There are only the real deals," said the smiling waitress. It only cost an hour? That was only for the strongest. There was only truth here. The needs were real and the enjoyment was real. The strongest could satisfy all their needs here in the holy city, so long as they paid sufficiently. Abilities, ambitions. Wine, no matter the class, for the strong and ambitious, it was only secondary. Xie Yuxin took the wine list and was not frugal. He spent a large amount of time and ordered a number of top-class luxury wines. Since they were here, they should release their stress completely. "Let's get hammered," said Xie Yuxin as he toasted with a glass of milk. Meng Tian was dumbfounded. The bubbly Yuan Jing exaggeratedly rubbed his eyes. "Did I hear wrongly? Or am I losing my sight? Brother Xie, are you drinking milk? 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 Important stuff needs to be repeated thrice. You're using milk and toasting with this to get hammered? Is there a problem?" Xie Yuxin sipped his milk with an expression that seemed to say that this was a very common thing to do. Menga swirled his wine coldly. 100-year-old Bordeaux. The real deal from Earth. It was absolutely not a fake from some agricultural stars. He had always thought that he was aloof, but after meeting Xie Yuxin, he found that he was wrong. Meng Tian smiled slightly. It was the first time that her uptight mind was relaxed. However, looking at Xie Yuxin, who could even look callous when drinking fruit juice, through the wine glass, another face appeared in her mind, one that was the complete opposite of this aloof look. A faint longing was deep-seated. Loneliness and excitement would be more memorable. Yuan Jing was still arguing with Xie Yuxin. "At least have some wine?" Yuan Jing had always been very confident in persuading people to drink. Ever since he was young, he had been crowned as king in the wine field. His ability to hold his liquor was not his strength, Rather, it was his charisma. However, it seemed like he had met his match today. With only one look into his eyes, it seemed to say that he could continue with his conjuring, but he was totally unconcerned and even totally ignored him. Yuan Jing rubbed his chin and only reacted after a long while. Something was wrong. There seemed to be some ability X fluctuations. Xie Yuxin? He actually used his ability to resist his persuasion to drink? This was blatantly breaking the rules of drinking. Meng Tian laughed and interrupted Yuan Jing's futile attempts. If this is the lower level of the oracle, then there should be a relative higher level, right? Xie Yuxin set down his empty milk glass and ordered another freshly squeezed fruit juice. He nodded his head and said, "The holy city is much bigger than what we've seen. Only when you have accomplished a certain number of missions will you be able to enter the higher level of the oracle. There's an even bigger area beyond the higher level. The higher you go, the more numerous and bigger the opportunities are." Menga was playing with the wine glass in his hand and a glint flashed across his eyes. Ever since arriving at the Oracle Star, there was a daily sense of improvement to his slightly stagnant powers. This was not merely because of life and death situations. There was something wrong with this planet. It was easy to make a breakthrough in levels and bottlenecks here. Initially, he only had some suspicions. But ever since entering the lower level of the Oracle, he could feel it very clearly. The environment here made his powers extraordinarily active. Especially the genes of the ancient martial arts that he had inherited from his family. They were like hot, boiling water. Is there a quicker way to get to the core? Menga emptied his wine glass. After removing the wristbands, even his confidence and tone of voice were different. Of course, it was also because all the stress had been released in a short moment. I have been here a little longer than all of you. This is a peculiar place. Other than the fact that they can't leave, the people from the Saint, the Dark World, and the Milky Way Alliance can survive here. The Saint itself would not interfere. However, only 5 people have managed to contact the core, said Xie Yuxin. He loved milk. It was nutritious and could keep oneself calm. Alcohol was not suitable for him, but he could understand others. Is it the son of Saint? Asked Meng Tian. She had also ordered a cocktail. Most people were normal people. After a tough battle and the breakup of her team and deaths of her teammates, Meng Tian was mentally very tired. However, Xie Yuxin seemed to be totally unaffected. It's the candidacy of the son of Saint, to be exact. Everyone here, including this Oracle Star, seems only concerned with one thing, and that's the selection of the son of Saint, said Xie Yuxin. Is the Saint an idiot? There are so many messed up people here. If it turns out that the son of Saint is not one of them, would they really hand over their great power? I don't believe it, said Yuan Jing. Xie Yuxin smiled but said nothing. The looks from everyone were somewhat strange too. Suddenly, it hit Yuan Jing. He was being an idiot. If the son of Saint was someone they needed, then they would use him. Otherwise, they would just get rid of him. I don't think it's that simple. If they wanted to groom an heir, talent is definitely a must. However, for such a powerful organization, what is more important is leadership. There seems to be a problem with their methods, commented Meng Tian. Regardless, she still felt that something was amiss. The investment and output of the Saint were not in proportion. Besides, even though the Milky Way Alliance had already discovered their existence, they were still so calm. Exactly, I feel that the selection of the son of Saint is just a process. They are definitely looking for something very important. Maybe it's a person. Maybe it's an object, or maybe even a revelation. This is something that is incomparable to any normal matter, said Xie Yuxin. Of course, ultimately we are still unsure about what they are looking for. If we want to leave this place, we definitely have to be in contact with top 5 candidates of the son of Saint. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Meng Tian looked at Xie Yuxin quietly. This composed man did not merely want to leave this place. Maybe everyone else's motive was to leave the Oracle Star, but for Xie Yuxin, perhaps his real reason was to discover the secret. If Wang Zheng was here, he would probably do the same thing too. After seeing the lower level of the Oracle Star, Meng Tian could probably guess where the military base of the Oracle Star was. That large fleet could not have appeared from nowhere. However, they had not managed to make any contact yet. Meng Tian had also regained her calmness. Although it looked dangerous, they actually stood a great chance now. Suddenly, Meng Tian felt that she had not thought about Wang Zheng recently. This seemed to be a good thing. Lear and Lu Fei were on their way back to Elite Academy X for them. SIG was totally over. All the racket and the vanity. It was not exactly a loss to have reached the semi-finals, but there was no longer any real value. The people only remembered the champion. Lear, who had been looking out the window at the stars, suddenly said, "Luo Fei, our move has been a big step back." "Boss, we are actually quite strong too," said Luo Fei. "Kiki, I know you actually quite like Wang Zheng, Zhang Shan, and the rest. What's in the past is the past. I'll be ruthless next time," said Lear faintly. "You have to be clear about this. Don't do anything that is unnecessary." Lu Fei's face twitched. "Boss, I don't know if I should ask this." Lear looked at Luo Fei. "Go ahead. Actually, we could be considered acquaintances with Wang Zheng and the rest. Why are we always keeping an eye on them?" Luo Fei could not understand. If Lear was considered small-minded, he did not appear as such yet. Lear looked at Luo Fei. "This question has been bothering you for quite a while, hasn't it? That's because Wang Zheng has taken all the paths that I wanted to. I have nowhere else to go." A smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. "From now on, we'll see who prevails. Let him enjoy his short-lived glory." Luo Fei nodded. He could only nod. This was was this a self-fulfilling prophecy? He felt that he should comfort his boss. On further thought, it was indeed depressing. If there was no Wang Zheng, Lear would definitely be the one enjoying the glory now. Luo Fei had known Lear for a very long time. He had been preparing for this day. In a royal manor on the outskirts of Aslan. This was Aina's manor. The normally quiet manor was very lively today. "Man. This table, these chairs, these tiles, can we take one with us when we leave?" asked Zhang Shan loudly. Zhang Shan was also wearing a suit today. He looked rather prim and proper in it. This fellow was dashing around madly in his wheelchair. He could, in fact, stand up already, but in order to recover faster, it was better to be a little more discreet. So, it felt as if he was driving a small sports car and dashing around madly. Lai Xin was going for the sexy style even in an evening gown, fully accentuating her excellent figure. Beside her was Jondi Lilac. Lai Xin, the fusion of the Lai Flame technique and Heavenly Master technique will probably amaze the whole world in a few years' time, said Jondi Lilac with a smile. He was handsome to begin with. Being born with a silver spoon, and now in a suit, his aristocratic aura was even more apparent. "Maybe we will have the chance to face each other. Are you going back to the academy after SIG?" "No, this has been purely for SIG. I intended to take the championship, but I'm grateful that I'm still alive. All because Wang Zheng was merciful to me." Jondi Lilac was an open person. It was easy for people to get close to him. "I'm planning to join the Milky Way Alliance troops to gain some experience." "Oh, I thought you would remain in Manalasuo. I'm looking for something different. I don't like staying at a place that has no challenges," said Jondi Lilac laughingly. "Initially, I thought you and Wang Zheng were a couple," said Jondi Lilac softly. Lai Xin smiled alluringly. Also in a soft voice, she responded, "I wanted to seduce him but failed." Both Achilles and Sijiali were each holding a glass of red wine. They were more refined. For some people, a simple look and they would know that they could get along. At least they could have a conversation. Respect and dignity were earned by oneself, not given by others. Everyone on Saruman Snake had proved this. Regardless of success or failure, they were always moving forward. This was true strength. Snow Li, Ai Xiaolu, and Luo on the other hand, were sitting on the side. The three ladies were all the introverted type, so it was not easy for them to befriend anyone. Although Luo was smiling, it was apparent that she was feeling a little repressed. This was because Ryan's situation was not looking good. The recent polls had fallen to only 40%, not looking optimistic. But there was nothing they could do to help. Where did the two of them go? "Don't tell me that they have gone to do that business in broad daylight," said a rather annoyed Ai Xiaolu. "What business?" asked Snow Li, a little puzzled. Playfully, Luo suddenly touched Snow Li's breast. "Make a guess." All at once, Snow Li blushed. "Rascals. Geez. One can't tell that you are quite voluptuous." Luo was very beautiful, A characteristic of a person from Gemini. A lustful beauty. It was a picture that was as seductive as it gets. Both Takumi and Vincent were somewhat reserved. They did not really like such occasions. They had long heard about the luxuries of the Aslan royal family. Today was an eye-opener for them. From a quick glance, the manor was indeed built with money. It was obvious that many of the antiques here were priceless. These cultural treasures were probably collected during their galactic voyages. The princess's manor was like a small arts museum. In the courtyard, Mu Gen and Ai Ruofan were watching the stars. Ai Ruofan was sitting on Mu Gen's shoulders. The romanticism of the Titan man. Yan Xiaoshu, Zhao Yiling, Yi Zisu, and the rest naturally had to be there. Yan Xiaoshu was exceptionally lively and was scurrying around. This was not an easy opportunity to come by to make friends. He was a child from a poor family that had taken the helm at an early age. The development of the Co group had not been easy. Although Aslan had lost, Yuan Donger and company were present too. This demeanor was still necessary. Besides, Wei Yin was the one who had invited them. This girl was so heartless. Normally, Jasper and Gabra would be most lively on such occasions, wanting very much to show off. However, they were especially abnormal. They were on their best behavior. It could not be helped, because they had no grounds to be proud. In the past, they were lively show-offs because the people around them were not as good as them. But here, it was different. Looking at Yan Xiaoshu, they were full of admiration. It was definitely at idol level. Brother Yan did not seem to have any cold feet, regardless of the occasion. He was really a pro. Cold feet? Yan Xiaoshu couldn't care less. The truth was that Jasper and Gabra were too thin-skinned. There was an old Yan family teaching. If a person was shameless, he would be invincible. Being thick-skinned was the way of the king. This was a basic for any businessman. When you meet someone, you have to be amicable. At least no one here dared to be rude to Yan Xiaoshu. Everyone knew that he was Wang Zheng's best friend. They practically grew up sharing the same pants. This was how Yan Xiaoshu made his self-introduction. As such, they had to give him due respect. As long as the opening was good, the rest was up to his glib tongue. Honestly, it was for him to sway many different people. Ever since leaving Earth, Yan Xiaoshu had felt that it was a blissful thing to do to talk business. Back on Earth, he could not sway anyone. He found that the larger world was a kind place. Everyone was good. Yi Zisu, Laurel, and Zhao Ellen found Ai Xiaolu and the rest. The 6 girls formed a beautiful scenery. Both Wang Zheng and Aina were nicely dressed up now. Xiaoxi, you have tired me out so much that I can barely breathe. Hang in there. This way, you'll look dashing, said a smiling Aina. The two were practically inseparable. It was strange that Kashawin had remained silent. Although they did not know what would happen in the future, Aina did not care. She had also insisted on organizing this celebratory dinner. Since the secret was out, she felt more relaxed. Since everyone knew, then she had to play her part as his girlfriend. Looking at the gentle Aina, who was applying the finishing touches to his attire, Wang Zheng's mind was blank. They froze as they looked into each other's eyes. Suddenly, Wang Zheng lifted Aina and kissed her deeply. As a man, he should take the initiative. On the side, Mitchell and Lacus did not quite know if they should look on or look away. Kashawin was not there. But Mitchell had been sent by her. To put it nicely, she was there to help. But in actual fact, she was there to supervise. Kashawin was one who wanted respect. Wang Zheng had ultimately won the championship. So, when Aina made the first move, she did not stop her. However, this did not mean that these two young people could do whatever they pleased. Parameters. Parameters were very important. Kashawin could not help but worry. Even though she was Aina's aunt, she was like a mother to her too. Kashawin had taken care of Aina longer than she had Wei Yin. Youngsters were prompt to be rash. If something dramatic happened, the situation might become very serious. In this era, a lot of countries were not very concerned about tradition, but Aslan could not be one of them. Tradition was part of the rule of Aslan. They had to be careful and observe it. Mitchell was really troubled by this assignment. There were things that were beyond her control. She could only turn a blind eye to some things. As long as the two did not stay too late together, she could pretend that he did not see anything. However, was it a good thing for these two to ignore the people around them and flaunt their singlehood? Mitchell and Lacus looked at each other in dismay. This was because the female entourage of the royal family had to be single. Once they got married, they would have to leave. Of course, there were better arrangements too. But principals were principals. The two ladies were elites that had been chosen after undergoing the different rounds of selection. Usually, such ladies were not interested in the affairs of the heart. Was it really that good? For Wang Jung and Aina, time did not seem to exist when they were together. Ahem, almost out of breath, Mitchell could not hold back any longer. The clearing of the throat was a little loud. Wang Jung was thick-skinned. However, Aina was not. The princess's lips seemed a little swollen but also a little redder. Finally, both Mitchell and Lacus admitted defeat. Fortunately, just then, Wei Yan's voice sounded. Sis, brother Wang Jung, aren't you done yet? Everyone is waiting. At this moment, Aina, who looked weak, suddenly found strength and pushed Wang Jung away. She straightened her clothes and gave Wang Jung a look. It was not hard to imagine how alluring the usually elegant princess looked with a sudden flirting. Wang Jung felt that his self-control was decreasing. He was really vulnerable. It seemed that he could no longer tease Zhang Shan anymore. Wow, brother Wang Jung, you look really handsome. Wei Yan's eyes sparkled. The young princess looked very cute too. One could not help but want to hug her tightly. What handsome, I think it's just okay, Aina laughed. Really? Then why don't you let me have him then, sister? Wei Yan asked mischievously, while holding Wang Jung's left arm. You can have him then, replied Aina laughingly, holding Wang Jung's right hand. She leaned closer to Wang Jung's ear and whispered, does it feel like you're in heaven? Without hesitation, Wang Jung nodded. A real man would dare to admit. Hiss, why did all girls know how to pinch others? Even a princess was not spared. A real man would have to hang on. Wang Jung made his appearance in the company of the two princesses. In an instant, the entire room became silent. It was soon followed by cheers and jeers. Zhang Shan suddenly felt poetic. If he did not recite a poem now, it would be an insult to his Casanova title. Pity, he had been out of touch with literature for a long time now. Guys, this was life. Kiss the girl, kiss the girl. It was uncertain who started the uproar, but whoever it was, all the Aslan people at the scene were shocked. What kind of momentum was this? The one who started the uproar was Yan Xiaoshu. This guy was more excited than Wang Jung. Zhang Shan was covering his forehead. This was depressing. There was someone who was more vulgar than him, but he liked it. The dinner officially began. The rhythm of the orchestra immediately changed too. The orchestra was also part of the royal orchestra. The opening dance naturally started with Wang Jung and Aina. This was his happiest moment after all these years. His friends and brothers, and his love. It would have been even better if Old Merchant was there too. He had wanted so much for Old Merchant to witness his victory. When the mood was created, Yan Xiaoshu did not care about anything else, nor did he have that many rules and regulations like the Aslan people. Even though this was Aslan, it was Earth's home ground. In the spaceship, the mood was somewhat depressing as a result of Lear's calmness, but Fatty was used to this. Just then, the door to their VIP stall carriage was opened. Lear frowned a little. There should be no disturbance right now. It was a middle-aged stranger. Lu Fei stood up. He felt that he had to send the stranger away before Lear threw his temper, or else things might turn ugly. Lear, Luo Fei, I'm afraid there will be a change to your schedule, said the middle-aged stranger. Lear gave a cold stare and the middle-aged stranger smiled. The elders are really happy with your performance. As you are a little weak, we hope you can make some changes. There's a place that's really suitable for that. Now, do you need an auspicious date? The ship is already on course. Calamando, your escort, Calamando said with a smile. The other candidates are already there. But you are the weakest and need to power up. Calamando sounded very arrogant. Lear's eyes flashed momentarily, but he made no dispute, although it was not part of his plan, come what may. Luo Fei's fat shook a little. He thought that he could finally take a break, but could he not go? Calamando took another look at Luo Fei that sent chills down his spine. Could he be an old gay man? The banquet was uneventful, but Mitchell had tugged behind Wang Jung like a shadow. It was impossible to escape her, not because Mitchell was unbeatable, but because he couldn't just disregard her. That was Kashawin's bottom line. "Sir, is it all right to leave Wang Jung like this?" asked the secretary. Kashawin reviewed the documents and rubbed her forehead gently. She delayed many things because of Sig. The biggest task in front of her was to get Ryan to step down and place herself in his position. It was slightly difficult, but it wasn't the hardest part. The hardest part was to get Aslan's replacement into place. Arbiter and Manalasuo were ruthless and ungrateful. "As long as it isn't too much. Actually, I made a mistake earlier on. The more I objected to Wang Jung and Aina's relationship, the tighter they would stick together. Relationships are not the most important things in the world. Wang Jung won't stay idle now that Sig has ended. Find something for him even if he has nothing to do. I remember that he has a small company or something." "Yes, the Co Group. It has Tita and Maklu at its axis and is developing well. However, I know for a fact that Wang Jung is not directly involved in it. He isn't very sensitive to money according to intel." Kashawin glanced at the secretary with dissatisfaction. "Think from another angle then. Do I need to teach you that as well?" "Yes, Prime Minister." Kashawin continued nursing her forehead. Wang Jung was really difficult to deal with. He responded neither to hard nor soft approaches. The members of the Genesis Coffee Club were very concerned about him. These scientists were weirdos, reacting negatively to hard approaches. It was Aslan's huge headache. Some of them could not be offended, and Kashawin was really busy as well. It was impossible to deal with Wang Jung all day long. She really had no energy to keep this up. A knock came. Kashawin allowed the visitor to enter. It was Lin Feng. Lin Feng had gone through a rough patch over the past 2 days as well. It was the first failure he had experienced, and at such a critical point. Ever since he was born, it was a huge blow to him. "Prime Minister, you were looking for me," Lin Feng started, still calm. Kashawin grimaced. "Have a seat. Don't be too uptight, it isn't working hours now. How were the past few days? I bet it wasn't easy." Lin Feng wasn't a kid. He had experienced many things at such an age. However, such a failure had nothing to do with his age and his country. It wasn't half bad for him to be able to carry on to this stage. "Yes. We'll just be having a casual chat. How skillful do you think Wang Jung is now? There must be a reason for him to make you admit defeat," Kashawin said lightly. Kashawin didn't want Lin Feng to die, but she didn't need a coward. She wanted to know the reason. Wang Jung had lost his resistance initially, but it suddenly raised again, and I don't know why. That was a heaven rank aura. "I know the strength of those with heaven rank, he is definitely not there yet," Kashawin said. Lin Feng's eyes dimmed. His spiritual power didn't even reach A rank, but the technique was at heaven rank. "I wouldn't be able to withstand that blow if it was pointed at me." "You mean that he can only be dealt with by a heaven rank warrior?" Kashawin asked with a frown. "Yes, and even those at heaven rank would have trouble dealing with him, given a few years." "How many earth rank warriors do we need?" Kashawin's question was obviously about how many were necessary to kill Wang Jung. Lin Feng shook his head bitterly. "Numbers are meaningless if he makes up his mind to flee." Kashawin tapped the table lightly. Wang Jung's growth potential exceeded her estimates. It wouldn't be that unacceptable for him to be Aina's husband if Wang Jung was willing to serve Aslan. "What do you have in mind?" Kashawin asked. Lin Feng stood up. "I'm requesting to enter the Abyssal. There will not be a second failure." Kashawin peered at Lin Feng for a moment and nodded. "Go. Remember your responsibility. A leader is a leader not because he has strong combat power, but for his ability to lead. You didn't lose to Wang Jung in terms of individual combat power, but the power to unleash the potential of the whole team. He climbed up from the bottom, so he knew how to maximize each resource. That is what you have to learn. Your failure this time is a good thing for you. Remember, you'll be stronger as long as you manage to stand back up." "Yes." Lin Feng gave a respectful bow. The knot in his heart wasn't fully untied, but he was still clear on his path. Sig was already over, but all glory was past. Of course, the craze was still going on for many people. Wang Jung and his team would be holding this crown for some time, but they had to move forward. Achilles and Lai Shin's application for their withdrawal from school had been approved. They were unable to be freed from the arrangements from their families after all. Their fates were sealed from the moment they were born to families with great political power in the solar system. Zhang Shan didn't plan on returning to Earth. He liked Elite Academy X and he felt that he had many areas he could improve on. Also, he could be in charge now that the prominent ones were gone. When the cat's away, the mice will play. He still hoped to graduate from Elite Academy X at the same time. The will of Saruman Snake would need to be inherited. Mu Gen didn't plan to leave either. He was still rather new in Elite Academy X anyway. It would be good for Mu Gen to further his studies in the perspective of Tita as well. The Titans were paving the way to send more giants and wise men to Elite Academy X. It was necessary to integrate into the Milky Way Alliance if they wanted to become stronger. Even the people of Tita understood this truth now. Vincent, Ao Ziwei, and the rest decided to stay as well. After all, the system and their backgrounds determined their paths. Schools were wonderful. Everything would be different once they graduated and stepped into society. Everyone would then have to make a choice. Ai Xiaolu and the rest didn't really care. They were more excited to see what Wang Zheng would decide. If Wang Zheng was prepared to marry into Ana's family, then that would be the end of them. However, Ai Xiaolu knew that this was impossible with Wang Zheng's character. She saw this very clearly. Kashawan might want to cage Wang Zheng up, but love was love, life was life. Wang Zheng would definitely walk his own path, unless Ana were to bewitch him. Ai Xiaolu felt that Wang Zheng would be able to walk a very unique path, no matter the odds. Caring about what others thought was impossible now that he was even made the champion of the SIG. Life was challenging and energizing only when there was a pursuit of incredible and meaningful goals. However, Ai Xiaolu didn't want to instigate Wang Zheng. Wang Zheng was, of course, not with Ana at night. The courtyard was not lacking in guest rooms. Mitchell enforced the rules of the royal family strictly. She persuaded Ana and Weiyan to separate from Wang Zheng with no qualms at all. The others were drunk or just about drunk, except for Ai Xiaolu, so she asked Wang Zheng her burning question. Everything seemed fine now that they had obtained the SIG championship, but what was next? Everyone else's goals were clear since most of them were decided by their families, but what about him? Sometimes, he wondered if he was picked up from a trash can or something. Weren't his parents on holiday for a tad too long? Should he remain in Elite Academy X? That didn't hold much meaning to him. His ability was way above the rest. It would only breed his vanity if he were to stay here longer. Achilles and the rest knew this very well. Wang Zheng wanted neither money nor power, so what did he want? Ai Xiaolu's question caught Wang Zheng like a deer in the headlights. He was happy with Ana, but it wasn't his personal goal. Yan Xiaosu's snores filled the room not long after they returned to it. That rascal just refused to leave, even if it meant leaving his wife alone. He even dominated Wang Zheng's bed. Wang Zheng couldn't sleep though. There were too many things to tend to. He had received an explosion of invitations, from Elite Academy X, Ares College, Tita, Maklu, and many others. However, these weren't what Wang Zheng wanted. He seemed to have had a glimpse into enlightenment through his battle with Lin Feng. It was a wonderful and attractive power that brought the mysteries of the world. Perhaps he should have a good chat with Charcoal first. Charcoal seemed to have expected Wang Zheng's arrival in the Rubik's Cube. Point blade technique? Wang Zheng was stunned. What the hell? Charcoal laughed. Actually, my primordial regression technique is the first half of the point blade technique. Boneheads is the second half. I merely adjusted the order, and the output is the complete point blade technique. Are you referring to the point blade technique of the Saint World? Yes, the complete set. I can only do this. The rest can only be achieved by yourself, Charcoal said. I thought you would need another year or two. I didn't expect you to do it in such a short time. Wang Zheng wouldn't have been able to improve so fast if it wasn't for the pressure from Sig. Aragorn, Lin Feng, and the rest had stimulated Wang Zheng's fighting spirit. Zhang Shan and the gang's support was also a source of motivation. The complete point blade technique can uncover the truth about power. However, you are currently too weak and only have the power to protect yourself. You have to be careful, Charcoal said. The former Saint Church, the current saint, the change in era, and the change in nature. There was no telling what would happen to the world if this power fell into the wrong hands. This was the power of the oracle that the saint had been searching for. Only, they weren't looking for a successor, but how to seize this power for themselves. The candidates for the son of Saint were bait from the beginning. Of course, only the best could finally inherit the power of the saint. Nonetheless, they would use all means necessary to obtain the power of the oracle once it appeared. Charcoal, the saint, and Wang Zheng didn't know that the power had appeared. No one knew where the future was headed. The saint could not rule over humans, but they could lead the world into chaos. They could attract those in power and become an unstoppable force of God. What else could be more alluring? The craze of Sig entered a few days after the event ended in Aslan. Of course, it was partly because Aslan had lost. People would remember Wang Zheng and honor him in their hearts. A new journey was about to start with the new day. The couple thought they could finally be together now that their relationship was exposed. Nonetheless, there was always a gap between reality and ideal. Their relationship had become the new hotbed for gossip, replacing Sig. It was the same in Aslan. It had compressed the space for them instead. There were eyes everywhere in the palace. There was no point thinking about going out. Disguises were useless and the flames of gossip were inextinguishable. Both Wang Zheng and Aina didn't want to become the caged animals of the zoo. They were still very happy spending their time together even though it was different from their imagination. One thing that was restored was their communication through Skylink. Kashawan no longer intervened. Wang Zheng and Aina chatted plenty. Wang Zheng certainly disliked Kashawan. Aina, on the other, might be vying with Kashawan, but there was no doubt that Aina was filled with admiration and respect for her. Wang Zheng saw this very clearly as well. The battle was always within boundaries. Kashawan had finally gave in through this battle. Wang Zheng was leaving with his gang, heading back to Elite Academy X. He was still a student there after all. It was already an exception for him to stay for so long. He couldn't possibly continue staying in Aslan. Aina was returning later than Wang Zheng. They wanted to return together, but it wasn't so practical in reality. Wang Zheng was facing problems too. It was uncomfortable to be in the spotlight wherever he went. He liked it better when he was carefree, but now he seemed to be an alien specimen on display. Most importantly, only a small fraction took note of him because of the SIG championship. Most of the attention he was getting was because he was the princess's man. Wang Zheng did not know whether to laugh or cry. Their short rest in Aslan was met with pretty good treatment. Zhang Shan could already walk, but he couldn't move too much yet. Everyone cherished the time they had together. They would be going separate ways when they returned back to Elite Academy X after all. Wang Zheng, have you decided on what to do yet? Zhang Shan asked as the space shuttle stabilized after entering warp travel. There were no stars to watch, so some were playing cards, while the girls held their secret conversations. This SIG had many memorable moments. They had been celebrating almost every moment after they won. Not yet. Haha, I thought you would stay in Aslan and marry into the family, Zhang Shan teased. Go to hell, am I a useless gigolo, brother, please don't say that. Do you know how many people in the world want to be a freeloader? Don't miss the fortune in front of you, Zhang Shan scorned. Zhang Shan, do you think everyone is as useless as you? Lai Xin shot at him. Wang Zheng would die sooner or later if he was strapped to a place. Also, how can someone from the solar system be taken away by a woman? I support Lai Xin's view on this. Make Aina marry into the solar system if you can, Achilles expressed his view in this rare instance. Also, Rastan and gang have sent congratulatory notes to you, saying that you have achieved glory for the solar system. FCK, couldn't they have sent me a message? I thought they forgot about me, Wang Zheng said with a laugh. They are afraid of disturbing your honeymoon, Achilles chuckled. Ai Xiaolu and Luo were whispering as well. Ai Xiaolu was still very concerned about Ryan's condition, even more so than Luo. This was partly because of the compulsive nature of the Aishi Financial Group. They had finally established their relationship with the president of the Milky Way Alliance, and it wasn't easy. Anyone else would have been controlled by several empires to influence Aina through Wang Zheng. It would have been nothing good for the Aishi Financial Group. This thought only lasted a moment in Ai Xiaolu's mind. Wang Zheng and Aina were the strangest couple. Their love was completely pure. There were no other factors in the love. There were many speculations on how they met. Only 3 to 5 people knew the whole story. Yan Xiaoshu and Yi Zisu were amongst them. Ai Xiaolu knew it wasn't easy to get the story out of the collected Yi Zisu. It was much easier to deal with Yan Xiaoshu. She intoxicated him, and Yan Xiaoshu babbled everything out in no time. Ai Xiaolu couldn't help but listen with envy. It was like a fairy tale. No wonder they were so determined. She would also be willing to dedicate her whole life to a person if he were to protect her with his life. Unfortunately, that was not possible. It wasn't that Wang Zheng didn't have the faintest idea in mind. He knew that he couldn't stay in Elite Academy X. His next step was to go to Titan Star on Mu Sen's invitation. That was his base. He also wanted to train at Titan Star. He only had a preliminary understanding of the 256-point blade technique. Only a calm environment could help him become fully enlightened. Things would have to return to their natural state after chaos. They were met with a warm welcome as they entered the spaceport in Roland Garros. It was also the glory of Elite Academy X. The victory of Saruman Snake cemented the glory of the elites. All the other countries were criticizing Elite Academy X before they went. Now, they were proven right. Applause, cheers, and flowers, these were essential and would accompany Saruman Snake for a while. Wang Zheng and Achilles were of the same mentality. They enjoyed the process of the battle, the breakthrough of life and death, the pursuit of the power of the Oracle, but cared nothing for these things. However, they couldn't ignore the enthusiasm of everyone around. The status of Elite Academy X had risen after this battle. It had strengthened the Milky Way Alliance as a result of a chain reaction. The Milky Way Alliance was a body, while the countries were individuals. They were always connected yet in conflict with each other. Their relations developed in this struggle. However, Elite Academy X had managed to win this time, so the other countries would hide their contempt for the time being. Respect was only earned through real strength. Butcher and the others were very calm. This was true mentoring. Wang Zheng ditched the crowd and went directly to Butcher's laboratory right after he returned. Teacher Butcher didn't care about what was happening outside. He was really happy that Wang Zheng had come. "Isn't this our greatest king? Haha, I thought you'd only come tomorrow." Butcher beamed. "Old Butch, you know I'm not suited for that kind of crowd. I'm hiding here." "Rascal, you did all right, you scored for us." Butcher was also moved. There was a shortage of such youngsters. Anyone else would have basked in the glory and lost themselves for a while. Butcher had the feeling that Wang Zheng would be different, but he could never be too sure. The young got conceited easily. He didn't think that Wang Zheng would be more mature than he had thought. Perhaps it couldn't be described as mature, but character. "I heard you are in a relationship with the princess. Good lad, I was wondering why you were not interested in anyone in school. So, you were hiding a huge secret all this while?" Butcher suddenly became gossipy as well. "Old Butch, you, haha, so our greatest king does have a face of embarrassment. Romantic, you've done wonderfully. A princess and a knight, what a good match." Butcher grinned from ear to ear. Wang Zheng touched his nose and accepted his fate. He was going to be ridiculed for a long time. "Come, I'll show you the latest research results." Butcher beamed. His laboratory was now the quietest shelter in the college. "Has that result been found?" Wang Zheng suddenly recalled the two guys that were caught a while back. Butcher shrugged helplessly. "They were caught, but they had long sold the object. I've yet to locate it. I hope nothing happens." There were huge cheers in Elite Academy X compared to the Saruman Snake Battle team. The performance of the other three teams were really unsatisfactory. Mars was heading back, but Olivius chose to stay. The people of Arbiter were not afraid. They would climb up from where they fell. Di Maria was the same. Lear and Luo Fei, on the hand, dropped out of school. That was strange since their performance was the best after the Saruman Snake Battle team, having made it into the top 4. Wang Zheng's request to leave the school wasn't approved. Simply put, he had considered too little. He had just obtained the greatest king title. Why would they let him go? He had to at least think about the promotional department of Elite Academy X. They were in the midst of attracting talents. What better way was there than Wang Zheng being the largest signboard? Of course, the school took Wang Zheng's situation into consideration and let him mingle with the other students. That was also huge pressure on the students since there was no point in playing with such a strong team around. Elite Academy X was planning to build up on this image. Therefore, Wang Zheng could arrange his classes freely, but there was no escape for him. At least not in the short term. Wang Zheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry at this situation. He could only accept it. Of course, he could understand what they were doing. In fact, he was also thankful to Elite Academy X. They had helped him so much, being in contact with the wise men and future. A college had a huge impact on a person. If there wasn't a platform like Elite Academy X, he would probably still be running around the solar system. How could he have had the opportunity to deal with the Milky Way Alliance? The college heaved a sigh of relief when Wang Zheng accepted their offer. They were so afraid that Wang Zheng would reject them. Previously, Wang Zheng was nearly rejected by them when he was enrolling. Now the tables had totally turned. Xie Yuxin and the rest weren't idle either. There were many restricted places on the Oracle Star that they now had access to. They busied themselves by familiarizing themselves with the environment and collecting intelligence. It was indeed desolate. Rescue forces from the Milky Way Alliance were not in sight. Strangely, Xie Yuxin unconsciously became the backbone of the team. He was very calm and didn't seem to have danger in mind. They'd figured out that the Oracle Star was built around the selection of the Son of Saint. There were currently 5 Sons of Saint, which could increase any time. Anyone could become a candidate for the selection. Of course, most people didn't come here for that. The martial techniques here were real. You could be rewarded through all sorts of peculiar missions and even human experiments. Obviously, the Saint understood the hearts of humans. You had to give if you wanted to get something. Power was something many adventurers came here for. They provided not only martial techniques here, but also the highest level of physical transformation. It could be genetic modifications or mechanical transformations. Of course, it was also possible to get rich. The Saint had technologies and resources as well. Legend had it that those who suddenly became super rich came from the Oracle Star. They might not be from the Saint, but they were also inseparable from the Saint. Honestly, who cared? Meng Tian and the others had felt earth-shaking changes over the past few days. This place was simply too scary. They had complete insight into human nature. They could basically give up on any rescue attempts from the Milky Way Alliance. Before we talk about the hidden people from the Saint in the Milky Way Alliance, the technology of this place was too advanced. Unless it became an all-out war, it was highly impossible for anything to be done. The Milky Way Alliance lurked in the darkness, unable to find them. They were not a country, so there was no target. The Milky Way Alliance wasn't afforded this opportunity. However, it was just as Xie Yuxin had deduced. This rule was a double-edged sword. This meant that they had a chance. It was now entirely a matter of personal will and pursuit while sticking to their principles. Everyone agreed with Xie Yuxin's suspicions now. The Saint definitely had other plans. The selection of the Son of Saint was more like the selection of the higher management than that of a successor. The hidden motive, well, it could well be the plans they wanted to carry out. Xie Yuxin successfully evoked everyone's interest and battle spirits. Xie Yuxin lifted his head lightly. The Saint never acted without purpose. The seemingly chaotic leads do actually have order and reason behind them. I have been studying the organization since I found some clues a year ago. I uncovered a lot of strange legends. Legends? Yuan Jing was astounded. That didn't sound like something a man with a strong, logical, and cold mind like Xie Yuxin would say. Xie Yuxin smiled faintly. There was a golden age before ours. They might have many misunderstandings about the space and the galaxy, but there were many myth-like legends during that age, and the Saint was one of the origins of the legends. Everyone, including Kong Siki and Huo Dong, nodded. They were descendants of old families and had general knowledge on this subject. They had heard of the lost golden age of humanity when they were young and curious. They might even have seen some relics. The feeling they got from it was that the story writers, for many reasons, had given the ancestors certain forms of glories through their writings. That legend might actually be real. There are many powers of the universe that cannot be explained by science. Or perhaps our level of technology and cultivation has yet to be able to comprehend it. Humans traveling in space through their own strength and having the power to defeat a whole army fleet was not a dream. The Saint is playing an extraordinary role in this era. The Saint of that era wasn't like how they are now, hidden in the underworld. They were the masters of the world, accepting the worship of many. That was because most of the powers of the legends came from the Saint. The reason why that history was now lost was precisely because the saint was destroyed and shredded into many pieces by numerous parties. They became the nourishment for the current golden age. It could be said to be a dark history. Xie Yuxin turned back to the previous topic after diving into history. I've guessed the true motive of the saint. The test for the son of saint and the so-called selection is just on the surface. The real purpose is to revive their power from the last era. That is the only reason why the saint has spent so much resources on the oracle star. I have no leads as to how this is related to the selection of the son of saint, neither do I have any reasonable guesses. Everyone could understand it now, but it was impossible to know where to start. They felt like they were living in a dream, but the dream felt so real, so bloody. They had to face it head-on. However, the truth was often concealed in what seemed unbelievable. The martial techniques here are interesting. I tried a dozen. They can really give me strange powers. I have to say that they have toppled my previous conceptions. Dozens, Meng Tian frowned. Whoa, a dozen and you are still alive? Why didn't you go berserk? Menga was stunned. What the hell was this? Perhaps I'm special, but it doesn't produce much use even if you mix it up, Xie Yuxin replied nonchalantly. Everyone exchanged glances. The invisible gloater was the most deadly. Huo Dong and Kong Siki were trying hard to find their role as well. The saint has strict control over information transmission. However, any system would have its loopholes. We'll take charge of invading their system. Of course, that's after we get some equipment, they offered. Xie Yuxin nodded. There was some way to do this. The easiest way to get into the system is to start from the son of saint. You can't possibly be asking us to rob the son of saint? It's the selection for the son of saint, not a robbery, it's to defect to them. Xie Yuxin smiled. These people are masters, we wouldn't be able to beat them even if we were to fight them together. What are we going to do? You can't possibly want Meng Tian to seduce him. I won't agree to it, Yuan Jing said. His mentality was gradually recovering since he could ridicule them. Everyone laughed, but Meng Tian's expression didn't change. I'm not good at it, but I can try. Everyone was stunned. Since when was Meng Tian so domineering? What, do you all think I'm not attractive? Meng Tian laughed. Everyone were still stunned. She was too beautiful. Only Xie Yuxin stayed composed. The battle among the 5 sons of Saint is very intense. They will need the assistance of talents. Someone will come to us if we showcase enough of our talents.